Where? What? Donde? Where? Over here?
Puente.
At the apartments?
Puente.
It's October 25th, 2023, and this woman and her boyfriend commit one of the most hideous crimes imaginable. In a chilling display of cold-blooded violence, watch as this criminal couple descended into brutality, robbing a man before taking turns slashing his throat with horrifying nonchalance. On the night of October 25th, 2023, what began as a casual dinner date arranged through social media spiraled into one of the most disturbing crimes Escambia County, Florida, had seen in years. A calculated ambush so brutal that survival seemed impossible. The victim had done what millions of people do every day. He connected with a woman online. Her name was Natalie Fonska, 25 years old. The conversation felt normal, friendly, familiar. There were no obvious warning signs. Eventually, they agreed to meet in person, just dinner, just hanging out, nothing out of the ordinary. But from the very beginning, the date was never what it appeared to be.
It appears as if they knew what they were going to do. In fact, I think they tell him what they were going to do, so much so that they take not only his money, they take his cell phone, then ultimately they take his shoes. So it seems like they took everything that they could, including trying to take his life.
After meeting up, Fonseca suggested they go back to her place. Once there, she introduced the man to someone she claimed was her uncle, 31-year-old Nafis Reynolds. The interaction felt strange, but not alarming enough to flee. That hesitation would nearly cost him his life. Not long after, the situation shifted. The casual atmosphere evaporated. Inside the vehicle, Reynolds and Fonseca turned on him. What followed was not a spontaneous outburst, but a coordinated attack. Investigators later determined that the pair assaulted the victim, beating him repeatedly. They threatened to kill him, robbing him of his phone, money, shoes, and ultimately, his car. This wasn't simple robbery. It was domination, control, and terror. Then, the violence escalated to a level that defies comprehension. According to law enforcement, both suspects took turns slashing the man's throat with a knife. Not once, not impulsively, but deliberately. Each participated in the act. The message was unmistakable. They intended for him to die. Bleeding heavily, disoriented and barely conscious, the victim was driven to a bridge spanning the Escambia River. What happened next was an execution attempt. They threw him off the bridge. The fall alone could have been fatal. The water below was dark and unforgiving. His injuries were catastrophic, and yet against all odds he did not die. Somehow, with his throat slashed and his body broken, the man resurfaced. He fought through shock and blood loss. He managed to swim to an embankment, dragging himself out of the river with what little strength remained. Staggering through the darkness, he eventually encountered a law enforcement deputy and collapsed alive.
Where? What? Donde? Where? Over here?
Puente.
At the apartments?
Puente.
Okay.
Amigo.
Hey, do you speak Spanish? Because I don't speak Spanish.
¿Qué ha ocurrido?
Car 393.
¿Qué ha ocurrido?
Are you knocking on the door?
Sí, unos amigos me montaron en un carro anoche. Y me trajeron y me quisieron matar. Y me robaron zapatos y el teléfono y el carro.
Some friends rode me a car last night, put makeup and me, stole my shoes and phone and the car. So we got carjacked. So take a screenshot of that, because we may need it later, and then just keep going.
Sí, me trajeron de aquí de Pensacola, Florida, aquí cerquita. Me montaron en el carro y lo único que me dijeron conmigo, hasta este día vas a hacer que vas a vivir, y vinieron a tirar desde arriba el puente, caía al lago abajo, y ahorita una muchacha que andaba en una lancha me dieron a salir.
So they brought me here to Pensacola, Florida. The cops mounted me in the only lane that they told me until this day, you're going to do what you're going to do that you're going to live tomorrow, it is going to throw to where above the bridge fell.
So maybe I'm thinking that
So
they
we're
threw him off
off
the bridge?
Flooded down, white female driver.
I don't know. His mouth injury is probably making a mumble, which is why this isn't. But I would still take a screenshot of it because there's some stuff in there that might work.
It's not wet. So
Two other all males and all female with their gray sweatshirts that are possibly going through dumpsters there in the area.
Try to get a name and an address. Okay. Try to ask him just yes or no questions.
First responders rushed him to medical care. Doctors later described his survival as nothing short of miraculous. Meanwhile, Reynolds and Fonseca believed the job was done. They fled the scene in the victim's stolen vehicle. In an apparent attempt to destroy evidence, the car was later found burned along US 98 West, charred and abandoned. To investigators, the message was clear. This wasn't panic. It was a cleanup. But they had underestimated one thing. The victim lived. Despite his condition, he was able to provide critical information to deputies. Names, descriptions, details. The pieces came together quickly. Within hours, investigators identified Reynolds and Fonseca as suspects.
They didn't throw me from the river bridge. They brought me
The car, my truck, they lowered me, and the woman put a knife on me that didn't fall. And then they pulled me off the bridge, and the water fell down. Just still keep taking screenshots of it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm probably sitting in the sun.
Yeah. Well, he was sitting for a while, and then he kind of stood up. We're going to need him to stand up again anyway when he...
Both were taken into custody and charged with an avalanche of serious felonies. The charges were staggering. Attempted premeditated murder, armed robbery, armed carjacking, kidnapping, additional charges related to arson and evidence tampering. Escambia County Sheriff's deputies described the crime as one of the most violent and deliberate attacks they had investigated in recent memory. There was no indication of provocation, no evidence of self-defense. Everything pointed to planning. As the case moved through the legal system, new details emerged reinforcing how close the victim had come to dying. Prosecutors emphasized the throat slashing, the bridge, and the burning of the vehicle as evidence of intent, not just to harm, but to erase. In court, Fonseca tried to paint herself as a victim of her boyfriend's manipulation, trying to gain sympathy from the judges, probably with the hopes of getting a reduced sentence.
As related to the offense occurring on or about October 16, 2023, with Mr. Sanchez, we'll talk to the court about that.
So, when I found out Mr. Sanchez took the report, he said that he was actually on his way to Pensacola from Tallahassee to purchase the vehicle plates for vehicles that he had registration for, and he had approximately $2,300 to do that. He had met Ms. Fonseca at the Circle K. He previously known her for some time. He gave her a ride to the known address, which is 7806 Oak Forest Drive, at which time she went in, black male came out with the gun, approached the driver's side, pointed the gun at him and told him to give it up, and that's when he took his iPhone and his wallet with $2,300.
Let me take you back, Investigator Martinez, to our first victim. Do you recollect what his name is?
It's a long first name, but it's easier for me to say Mr. Moreno Ocha.
Yes, sir. And that would be his last name?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's the individual.
For nearly 2 years, the case loomed over Escambia County like a dark cloud. It was the kind of crime people didn't forget. Too violent, too calculated, too close to becoming a murder. As months passed, the details only grew more disturbing, and the question remained unanswered. How would justice be delivered? Then, in September 2025, a major development finally arrived. Both Nafis Reynolds and Natalie Fonseca accepted plea deals. The decision brought the case to its final chapter, but it did not soften the gravity of what they had done. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was tense. This was not a routine sentencing. This was a reckoning. Before delivering the verdict, the judge addressed both defendants directly and did not hold back.
And Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, sir, he did.
And what did he indicate was taken from his possession?
From his possession was his vehicle. It was a Honda Ford Odyssey, his wallet, and his cell phone. The Honda Odyssey was later found abandoned and burnt in a site under construction where the new Publix is now, which is Highway 98 in Winter.
During your investigation, did you learn or determine that in fact Mr. Moreno Ochoa's vehicle was burned on the same morning in which he ultimately walked up to the Cumberland gas station off of Scenic and Davis Highway?
Yes, sir, it was.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Judge, in this courtroom, I think it's going to require your assistance to put the photos on the screen. So, investigating Martinez, just let me know when you go through those photos.
Yes, sir.
And just so you know, Your Honor, the state and defense have agreed to the admission of the photos. And so what Investigator Martinez is flipping through is going to be State's Exhibit number 1. That photo, Judge, should be a picture of the bridge where Mr. Moreno Ochoa was thrown from. And it's going to be photos, State's Exhibits 2.
The court described their actions as inhuman, emphasizing that this was not a crime driven by panic or desperation, but one marked by deliberate cruelty. The judge highlighted the fact that the victim had been betrayed, robbed, repeatedly assaulted, had his throat slashed, and was then thrown from a bridge and left to die. These were not the actions of people who intended to stop short of killing, the court noted. They were the actions of people who fully expected a man to be dead by morning. The judge also pointed to the attempt to burn the victim's vehicle afterward as further proof of intent, not only to kill, but to erase evidence and escape responsibility. When the sentencing was handed down, the courtroom fell silent.
$3,250 joint and several with Ms. Fonska, and it will be reduced to civil liens. And in case number 24 CF 727, 30-year state adjudication as charged. Again, 30-year state prison concurrent. Is the credit the same in both cases, or is there a different credit for?
It would be in both cases. They were picked up after the second case.
Okay.
And that's the new one.
So it's going to be the credit is going to be the same. And Madam Clerk, I should have said.
Both Reynolds and Fonseca were sentenced to 30 years in prison for the primary charges, including attempted premeditated murder, kidnapping, armed robbery, and armed carjacking, with additional sentences to run concurrently. It was not a life sentence, but it was decades of freedom stripped away. For the county, the verdict brought a sense of closure. For the victim, it marked the end of one chapter of trauma, though the scars, physical and psychological, would remain far longer than the prison terms ever could. The message was clear. Some acts are so violent, so calculated that mercy has limits. While the sentences spared them life imprisonment, prosecutors made clear that the plea ensured they would spend decades behind bars.